You might have clicked on this video thinking, what even is Espire 2? And you're definitely not alone, so let me break it down. As the name would suggest, it's the sequel to Espire 1, which was an Australian VR stealth game, where you played as a person transmitting their consciousness through a VR headset to an infiltration robot half a world away. The original game ended when the entire building the in-game human being you were playing as collapsed because the game was too meta, I guess, and this new game picks straight up from there. This story gets pretty weird at times, so stick around or I'll sticky bomb your figurine collection. It's not weird, we all have one. I wake up in the in-game equivalent of a VR play space. It's definitely seen better days, and so have my forearms, something's definitely wrong with them. I put on a VR headset and I can see my fake real-world body from the outside, which is pretty cool. But what isn't cool is getting surrounded by cameras. It's clear to me at this point that I'm tripping balls and get transported to a military base, except the sky is made from neurons and I'm huge, which is normal. I go ape mode and start throwing things around, and this triggers a bunch of even bigger people to stand around and watch. Eventually though, I find myself in a place that isn't in my head, called the tutorial. I learn to walk, type on a keyboard, and then shit goes from 0 to 100 really fast. I sneak around learning a couple more game mechanics, with the occasional invasive thought to brighten things up. I'm not even joking.
They're sitting ducks. You're gonna kill them, right?
After I snap out of that, I hide some guy in a closet and move along to a helipad. I have to get from one side to the other, and I do this by taking out a number of guards with my little taser/repair tool. One of the bodies gets found, and so I end up stuck beside an elevator that's taking its time reaching my level, while strike teams start crawling out of the walls like the people do in my house. The elevator reaches the surface, which is pretty hard hitting because I've been stuck in a basement for a couple months making these videos, but yeah, only now do I get the opening credits. I sneak across a courtyard without getting caught, which will probably be the only time I ever stealth anything in this game, and I make it to an office to grab a keycard. Here I find why they rarely continue hunting me for more than a minute, because they clearly have much larger problems on their hands. At some point I'm just walking along, but then the game skips me forward, which surprises the people on my communications, who are overseeing this operation. I'm in the missile silo, face to face with the missile I'm meant to stop. I have to slap my hands on a keyboard to abort the launch, and then it tells me I have to do that 20 more times on 20 more keyboards. I'm under heavy fire from enemies, but the lives of millions are on the line here. And yeah, say goodnight to the world's population, because obviously I didn't get that done in time. Turns out it was just a simulation, and I get 5 stars and $250,000 for failing to save the world, I guess. Even for a simulation, that's pretty poor performance for a top operative. James Bond saved the world like 27 times, and I can't even do it once. I learned that the mission was called Nightmare, and I definitely will be having nightmares after that mess. The person running the whole operation briefs me on what's going on, which is basically a bunch of techno-terrorists are going to launch a missile in 10 days. A whistleblower gave us the base schematics, but now we have to go rescue them from a hotel in Kazakhstan, where nobody lives anymore. I choose my loadout and they drop a unit for me to control in a sewage system. I'm advised to use a different model of robot, which is better at stealth because it's small and fast. I do this and use it to bypass a fan by slowing time somehow, then I immediately get caught and shot so much that I basically turn into a Nokia phone, because I don't run so good anymore. I possess a new one and this time tase both of the guards, before taking weapons off my old lifeless body and getting on with it. I learned that this particular robot model also has a sticky noisemaker, so I use it to slightly confuse this guard in one of the cleanest stealth moments of the year. After a bit more stealth with huge quotation marks around it, I come across a robot that's being controlled with a VR headset by an enemy. It's pretty crazy that both of our organizations came up with this technology, so I guess we can have a laugh about it when I'm holding him at gunpoint or something. After sneaking through the underground for a bit and one of my handlers telling me their aggressively hot take on unemployment, I reach the actual hotel. It's pretty nice, they have one of those weird splitting hallways and holograms of armed men in balaclavas, which screams classy establishment. I knock out some of the guards and hide them in cupboards, but one of the cupboards is too small, so rather than drag him 5 meters to an appropriately sized one, I just break his bones and violently cram him in there, which is smart because when he wakes up he won't be going anywhere. There's a door that requires a retinal scan, but the game won't let me politely ask this kind gentleman at gunpoint to do it, so I have to knock him out, walk 70 meters to become the slightly stronger robot, and unlock the door. Because we were so inefficient, the whistleblower has already been caught, so instead I have to hack their laptop for more information. They send a squad to stop me, but I clean them up with 0 style for most of it, but I end with a nice flourish. That's an L mission from the Iron Giant over here, but we're still paid pretty handsomely. New day, new mission, and this time we have to rescue the whistleblower from a skyscraper near to where the last mission was. Hopefully we've learned a thing or two about being a little less slow, so we can actually have a mission success this time. They launch a coffin with my robot inside into the top side of the building, expecting me to pull this thing off stealthily. Of course they send multiple teams up to investigate the extremely loud and obvious sound of a few layers of concrete breaking, but fortunately I've mastered my takedown game and I make it to a nearby elevator. I keep on sneaking around, but one of the guards I slept gets found. Rather than get up, he just starts sliding along the ground, and I would have been a-okay with that, but he is a witness. I chase him down as he alerts the entire floor of my presence, and by the time I reach him and make sure he tells no more tales, there is no human life around anymore. I do a bit of hacking and make my way to some stairs, because the elevator on the roof only went a few floors below the one I was meant to be on. What I find is 2 absolute hunks of robots, and before you think that's weird, just look at them. They catch me however and start spanking me, but not in the way you might be thinking. I luckily make it into another elevator that takes me to the correct floor, so now we can do what we could have done 30 minutes ago, rest in peace efficiency. I find the whistleblower and they're dressed up for Halloween for some reason. I don't have the heart to tell them it's almost December now, or that they can't go trick-or-treating if they're coughing so hard they'd be rupturing my eardrums if I had any. I start with everybody's favourite, an escort mission, but when I go to help them along, my robo unit gets fried. It turns out the reason they were so sick is because they're a walking EMP now, so I try to tell them to stop it because I don't like it. Eventually we work out a way to get them out, as they walk through the vents while I clear the floors and also put unfitted vents in place. Eventually we make it to the roof and a helicopter comes that apparently isn't ours, and belongs to one of the terrorist group leaders. I load up to take the helicopter on, but then the mission ends. It's okay though because I just separated the parts in 2, I guess because a boss fight is just too much of a left turn for a stealth level. I did however play said stealth level like a Call of Duty campaign, so I don't know. The boss fight is pretty simple, I just shoot the helicopter with a missile launcher, while they strafe me with rockets and send in enemy hit squads who aren't exactly explosion proof. After some time the helicopter explodes, which confused me because I had taken a lunch break before this level and forgot that the whistleblower didn't actually go in the helicopter, so once again we take another L with this whole thing. What hurts more is they charged me $75,000 because I killed people rather than knocked them out. But seriously, I wasn't about to start a fist fight while a helicopter was obliterating the building. Anyway, that's all for this episode of What If You Gave Australians Guns. Despite all the shit I talk about games sometimes, this one I definitely enjoyed my time on, so I may well make a part 2. Thank you so much for your time, and as always, I'll see you later.